Hi there, you're welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Kweku Ediama Ansa. If you're yet to join the family, please subscribe now. Also hit the notification button and be sure to get more information on how to go about your travel processes. Well, my name is Kweku Ediama Ansa. Today and in the subsequent videos that I will be doing, I would be dwelling so much on the type of visas, how you can understand it, and also go about your processes. And today, my focus is going to be on the B1, B2 visas. But you're welcome to my YouTube channel. Hello there. Let's zoom right into the B1, B2 visas. Well, this is popular. It is mostly used by a number of people, like thousands of people across the world. And that's because it encompasses a number of reasons that people travel to the US. And so today I will be breaking that down to you. And I'm hopeful that at the end of this episode, you may have picked one or two things for your travel processes. Well, what is the B1, B2 visas? Mostly it is used together. So B1 and B2 comprises of a number of reasons that people embark on a travel to the US. Remember, it is a temporary visa, and so it means that you have a limited time to travel using this kind of visa. The B1, B2, the B1, for instance, is used by business people, entrepreneurs, people who are traveling to the US maybe to sign contracts or to engage in business for a shorter time. They use a B1. The B2, which I'm sure you know about, is for people who want to tour the US. So if they want to go on holidays, if they just want to travel to the US for sightseeing, also people who want to visit their relatives, their friends, people who want to travel to the US to be a part of maybe a graduation, who want to go for birthday parties in the US. All these people fall under the B2 visas, but it's mostly used together because they have a lot of similarities. So it's the B1, B2 visas, as we always hear by a number of people. But how do you go about your process if you are using a B1, B2 visa? So you first of all identify the reason. So I'll try and pick them one after the other, but this is going to be just for the key one. So if you're traveling to the US to visit a family member, so maybe it's been long that you saw the family member and you're traveling to the US to visit for maybe a month because it's your annual leave in your country of origin, and so you want to go and see your family, you want to get closer to your family again, and you want to use the B1, B2 visas. There are a number of documents that you would need, and it might be similar to the other people in this bracket. However, there are a lot of disparities also in it. So if you are traveling to go and see your family, first of all, you are going to get an invite from your family or your friends there. And the invite is just to tell you or to tell the consular that you are expected in the US, and maybe a relative wants to see you and the relative wants to host you for a number of period of time that you're going to be there, amongst other reasons. So an invitation letter, it's very important. You just don't need that alone. Remember that the invitation letter does not really have a particular template. It's just a letter to invite you into the US. So the reason for your travel would be indicated in that, and it's going to be signed and written by the one inviting you in the US. So if I have a relative in the US and my relative wants me to come around, my relative is going to give me an invitation letter indicating that he's inviting me over into his home because he can accommodate me for that period of time that he wants to see me. That is the invitation letter. However, there's that part of funding, and some people will tell you that, well, my relative is rich enough, he's a citizen, he's been there for several years and can cater for myself and also his family there, so your relative is going to co-sponsor you. That is not wrong. in that invitation letter, obviously your relative would indicate that I am co-sponsoring this trip. However, it is just advisable that you also have some sort of funds in your account. Because, for instance, if I am a worker in my country of origin and my relative is inviting me to the US, at least there should be some reasonable amount of money so that in case of any emergency, I can fall on that. So you may be sponsored by your relative or your friend in the US to come around, but you also need to have a reasonable amount of money that can cater for your trip, because remember, your flight, you might be paying for it. Maybe accommodation is going to be taken care of by your relative with food and other things, but you would want to have some money on you. This would be similar also to people who are maybe going to the US for maybe a program by a company that has invited them. So the company will give you an invite, and that invite would indicate that, well, maybe they are taking care of the whole trip, or they are funding a part of it and you're also funding a part of it. But there's some sort of invitation letter that should be given to you so that you can present when you go for your interview. It is not just that. If you're a business owner and maybe you're traveling to the US, you've been engaging with another business owner in the US and you need to go meet the person so that he or she shows you around maybe his company or the things that you need, the products that you need. Well, that person, just to show that they are in the know that you're coming to the US to meet them, an invitation letter can be given to you. It is not compulsory for you to get an invitation letter, but it's just a sign to show that, well, you are needed in the US by this person and that person. Well, if you have your funds sorted out, that's not just the only thing you need. There should be some home ties. You remember I talked about this in one of my videos. If you're yet to take a look at it, you can go back and take a look at how you can prove your home ties. This would be needed also here. So if you are a worker in the formal industry or space and your company knows about your trip, they can give you a letter to indicate that they are expecting you back into your country after your trip. They can also provide you with an annual leave form just to prove that you are traveling because you have this amount of time as your annual leave, and that's the reason why you are embarking on this trip. So there should be some sort of home ties. For people who are business owners, you want to prove that truly you're a business owner. You can have a document of your business certification just to show that, well, my company is registered, I've been dealing in this business for this past years, and I'm traveling for a business reason. So maybe I have a business to do with someone else in the US, and this would be one of your home ties. If you also have a property, you can also have that printed out, I mean the certification printed out, just to show that these are properties you have in your country. If you have businesses that you own yourself, if it's not just one and it's multiple ones, you can just have all those certifications just to prove your point that truly you have a business in your country and that is key to you, and that your trip is just for a temporary reason. And so all of these things would be needed when you want to go about your B1, B2 visas. Well, then after knowing all these documents are going to be needed and all of these things must be followed through, let's look at how you can apply for a B1, B2 visa. You go on the DS-160 portal, that is by the US Embassy in your country of jurisdiction, and there's a form there called the DS-160. That's where you're going to fill out every single thing. It talks about your personal information, your employment situation. It talks about the reason for your travel. It talks about who is going to accommodate you there, or how you're going to fend for yourself in the US when you embark on this trip using the B1, B2 visas. So you would fill all of this. Sometimes people take a longer time to fill it because it's quite lengthy, but I think that you can dedicate maybe 2 or 3 days to it, because there's that opportunity for you to save what you've done and then you can always come back to it. You get it, so that you don't need to necessarily start from scratch again. So you can go about it in that manner. Once you're done with this, the next step is to book for your interview appointment. How do you do that? You need to pay for it, check how much it costs in your country, and you pay at the bank. There's an MRV code that would be given to you on the receipt that you receive from the bank. That is what you use to book your date for the interviews. Once you're done with that, then you prepare yourself for the interviews. I would be zooming in straight into some of the sample questions that would come. I mean, this comes literally at every point in time. And for you as a B1, B2 visa person, if you're traveling for a visit, what is the purpose of your travel is obviously going to come up. Who is receiving you in the US? So maybe if it's a family member, and you tell them about it, why this travel, you tell them about the reason for a travel. Maybe you're going to partake in your relative's graduation, and so you need to go. That's the reason, or that's the reason why you're backing on the trip. Also, there will be other questions of how you're funding this. I told you already that your relative can fund a part of it for you, and you can also fund a part of it. If you think that your relative is funding everything for you, you can also tell them that your relative is doing that. But remember that your relative needs to indicate that and back it with his or her bank statements, just to prove that they have this certain amount of money. They can also prove it with the kind of employment that they are doing in the US. They can also have other documents like maybe rent payments, water or electricity payments, tariff payments, just to ensure and to back your course when you get in for your visa interview. It is not that complicated, but it's how your whole case is presented to the consular. But there should be a key reason, there should be an important reason for you embarking on this trip. My name is Kwekwe Mansa, and thank you for joining my channel again. I'm grateful. I want you to subscribe, also share with people you think would need this, and also share with me your views and comments in the section.